Welcome to the matchup of the week. Biggest surprise, and since I'm terrible, I'm loving every minute of this shit. The only undefeated team in the league, baby. Taking on a 3-1 Brian's team, and I am about to make a grand statement. You're not going to want to miss this. I think after this week, this matchup is going to determine, in the long run, a contender or a pretender. I'm going to make my prediction with you guys right here. This is going to be a little bit longer than the other ones. I do think that this is going to be the game when the playoffs happen and the turning point, when you look at the turning point for a team that said, you know what can we look at? What happened? What happened to this team? And wow, this team really came out of nowhere or something like this. What happened? You're going to look back to rivalry week 5, Harsh versus Brian. Let me get into it, and I'm going to break it down for you. Phillip Rivers at the Giants, Carson Wentz at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Brian has fallen in love with Carson Wentz every single day. And then there's Phillip Rivers, who's been all right. Rivers is traveling on the road. He's not going to have Brandon Oliver, and he might not have Tyrell Williams, which means that is not good for the way they're going to match up against the New York Giants. Travis Benjamin is a deep threat. He is going to get targeted a lot, especially against Eli Apple, who has been terrible against deep bombs this season. I can see a Travis Benjamin touchdown coming up in here in this one. I am thinking about picking him up. So if you're looking for a guy, or anybody who's listening to this podcast, I think that Travis Benjamin is a very good gamble this week with Tyrell Williams out. And you might see a resurgence in Dontrell Inman just for 1 week, just because the Giants are very vulnerable over the middle of the field, which means you're going to see a lot of Keenan Allen. You're going to see a lot of Hunter Henry and Antonio Gates. And you might even get a Dontrell Inman sighting. This is a tough one to call, though. I actually might go with Phillip Rivers. The New York Giants defense has been very bad the last 2 weeks. It's actually been the offense that has been stepping up, and the defense has kind of been a letdown. I might go with Rivers just because I think that Wentz, even though he is at home, which is a better thing, I think Arizona might be able to match up well with Philly's offensive scheme. Hopkins and Thielen or Landry and Evans. Due to the dud with 7 points, I'm going to have to go with Harsh again in this one. Kareem Hunt, Aaron Jones, Jordan Howard, Levis. I don't like Latavius Murray regardless. I just think that this might be a retarded committee that's going to be upon us. Jordan Howard, Mitchell Trubisky is now the starting quarterback, which means that you're going to get a heavy dose of Jordan Howard. I actually do like him in this one. And he's at home. I'm going to give him a touchdown on that one. Kareem Hunt or Aaron Jones, though. Now, here's my thing about this. We already know the situation with Kareem Hunt. No doubt about it. Aaron Jones, though, this is where this team is going to start to have to make decisions. If this guy, who I still don't think is a better running back than Jamal Williams, and the fact that Jamal Williams is playing right now, and I know you have him Harsh, is fucking retarded, because if this guy blows off, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. Aaron Jones, on the other hand, I don't think he's ready. You can say, well, look at his preseason numbers. That was against third-string defenses. Jamal Williams has been prepped with the playbook, and the fact that Ty Montgomery is not playing really makes me even more mad, because I can definitely see Jamal Williams outperforming Aaron Jones in this one. Regardless, it's going to be a split, and you're going to see Aaron Ripkowski involved in the matchup as well. Hear me out on this. If Aaron Jones does have a good game, this is really going to put a huge... I'll say it again. This is going to put a huge dent in Brian's team, because what's that going to mean? If the Packers coaching staff has a freaking brain, you can't use Ty Montgomery the way they were using him, which means it's going to be a split. And I understand what you're saying right now. You're going to probably look at it and say, okay, I'll just start both of them. You can't do that. You might get away with it this year, maybe, because this year has just been really, really bad. And then Harsh starts Cohen and Howard, but I trust that a lot more than an Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery split. So what I'm basically trying to say is, if you're watching that game and Aaron Jones has it, bottom line, you have to pray that Aaron Jones does not have a good game. This situation could get very ugly. But if Montgomery was out for the season, yeah, cheer for Aaron Jones. But the bottom line is, we don't know a timetable, and Aaron Jones is going to have more weeks to get involved in the playbook. Same with Jamal Williams. This is the worst thing that could have happened to you. My bottom line. Anyway, back to the matchup. I still like Brian because of Kareem Hunt. Just because that dude is just so automatic. Tight ends, Charles Clay's been a beast. Give me Clay. Cohen and Parker taking on 2-point Jaquiz Rodgers and Lamar Miller. Well, regardless of what Lamar Miller did last week, I still don't have a lot of confidence in Lamar Miller. Tennessee Titans just did not show up. They didn't show up. They gave two craps once Mariota got hurt. I like Cohen and Parker. I really like Devontae Parker. And this would be a defense that you would have, Harsh. The Detroit Lions defense going against the Buffalo Bills defense. Buffalo Bills have had a very underrated defense so far this season, and they are first place in the AFC East. So with that being said, that might be a draw on that one. This is going to be a very big statement I am about to make, and if I am wrong, you can call me out. Direct my name, though, at it. The one thing I don't like in the chat is when people say, "You guys still hating?" If it was me who said something, call my name out on it. Don't just say "you guys," unless there's other people you want to involve in it. That's fine. Bottom line right now, this is going to be the week that's going to turn around both of these teams. Because, Harsh, congratulations. I think you're going to go to 5-0. I don't look. I wasn't buying into it at 3-0. Not because you beat me. My team sucks. But I do think that this is definitely the contender pretender label on your roster. I know your point total is definitely low. Don't get me wrong. We all know that. You lost Dalvin Cook. Don't get me wrong. We all know that. But the bottom line, what you have, man, in a season that is filled with a whole bunch of crap injuries, your bench is very, very stacked. Beyond belief. I can't believe I'm saying it myself, but Hunter Henry, Adams, Crowell, Richardson, John Brown, Eddie Lacy can get cut, and Jamal Williams. And then you have Andrew Luck just in case you want to throw him out there for whatever reason. The other thing I didn't mention about Brian's team, the injury to Derek Carr really put you back. Bottom line right now, Harsh's team is going to definitely not be amazing. I think when I look at Harsh's team, I think it's going to be going on to a Paul type of run 2 seasons ago. For those of you who remember, Paul was in first place and then came into the playoffs, and then the team started to slow down a bit. I can actually see Harsh actually going into the playoffs this season, especially if he gets this victory. We are going to see Harsh in the playoffs. The last time we saw Harsh in the playoffs was freshman year of college, maybe, man. It's been a while. But this is fun. This is actually fun to watch. This is. And as far as Brian's team is concerned, I definitely think that there is a lot of bad things on the way for that team. I liked it, but out of nowhere, 1 week can change everything. And this is why I always said, granted, I know injuries can happen, but I said without the injuries, I loved this team. Now I do think that this team is going to be a complete mess. I really do. That's just my take. If I'm wrong about it, bottom line is, if you're listening to this, trying to help you out, sell. Find something to sell immediately before it's too late, because when people start realizing a trend that the numbers are starting to go down, you're not going to get anything for those guys. So if somebody is high on your team right now, try your best to sell him to somebody. That's my take. Catch you guys next week. All right, so here we go now. We are now in the same division. Look at that. This is definitely the division when you looked at it come the season. It was either this division or the Maxwell House division or King David's Castle, where you knew that these two were going to be the most competitive divisions. This is my second favorite matchup of the week. You've got one team that is 2-2, and the other team very happy to knock off my quote-unquote number one team. Well, for the time being, I had to show that team some props, but you're starting to figure out what makes a difference as far as management is concerned. After the preseason, I didn't hate this team. I had it just under my playoff team just because I felt like there was some things that needed to be figured out. I was never hating on this team, but you're starting to see those things start to get figured out. I said by week 4, I think on the podcast, it would be figured out by the midseason. And this is a manager that's not going to play around too much. I mean, we all get cute, myself included, but you're seeing the development, and people are going, uh-oh. And then we've got David. David, he needs this win really bad. I mean, he is projected as the favorite, but he really needs this win more than ever, because I think if he does lose this one, the surprise of the century and the harsh 4-0 team is really, really putting a stock plummet on David's roster. Anyway, enough talking. Matchup time. A primetime spotlight for Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers at Dallas. Well, if there's one thing we definitely know, it's that Aaron Rodgers can carve up that Dallas secondary. One thing to be a little bit concerned about, though, is Ty Montgomery around the red zone is not going to be available. Aaron Rodgers, so that could mean very good things for Aaron Rodgers, which it probably will. It's hard for me to go against Aaron Rodgers with the success he's always had against the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm going to have to play it safe. Give me Aaron Rodgers in this one. Then when you take a look at the receivers that have already played, the New England boys have combined for a grand total of 28 points. Good news for David is that he got a 13 spot from Deshaun Jackson, which means Kelvin Benjamin has to step up to the plate and beat that 28, which means that if I'm doing the math correctly, give me a minute. You need 15 from Kelvin Benjamin. That's a tough task. I know he had a good game last week. 15 from Benjamin. I don't see it getting done here. I think his upside in this one might be a 12 spot. I can see maybe like 50 yards and a touchdown or something like that. So I'm going to have to give the edge to Robert. Mike Gillislee only dropping 5 points means good news for David's backs that have very, very tasty matchups. And then Le'Veon Bell against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bell could easily cover Rob's ass in the running back department, but I actually do like McCoy and Hyde to slightly edge out a victory in this one. Still, I don't remember when you picked up Austin Seferian-Jenkins, but I know there's a lot of hype now. People do like him and whatnot. Against the Cleveland Browns, maybe he finds the end zone. Bottom line, you only have to get like 1 point out of him to be happy for this week. So I mean, you win that one. Diggs, Jaron, I don't understand Jaron Brown. I know he's underrated, but I just don't understand with John Brown healthy. You've got a slot guy in Fitzgerald. You've got a do-it-everything guy in John Brown. Why not have J.J. Nelson on the outside? It's beyond me. I don't run the team. I don't understand having 2 possession receivers and there's just one everything guy where it should be one everything guy, a slot, and a deep threat. But hey, not Bruce Arians. I don't care about it. Going to David's side of the ball. Jeffrey, I don't like him in this one. Devin Funchess, yeah, he scored. He scored twice last week, I think. So I know you're a little bit kind of happy in this one, man, but you're stacking two Panthers boys. Bottom line, I think I like the talent better on David's side of the ball, but I like the matchups better for Robert. So what are you gonna do? I gotta go with the matchups. Sorry. I'm assuming you're just plugging and playing Jacksonville every single week. We knew that this defense was going to be very, very, very good this year. They're at Pittsburgh. I know Roethlisberger hasn't looked very good. The Oakland Raiders defense against the Baltimore Ravens was a very good pickup. I had them and then dropped them just because I was worried about EJ Manuel really ruining the game for them. But Joe Flacco's awful against the road. You might have a very, very, very big game in store with that Raiders defense taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Now it's time for me to pick the winner. I think I think the biggest factor in this one is Aaron Rodgers, and the running backs for David. Can Coffee overcome that? I got news for you. This might be a very big game for David. But I think you're going to need those running backs to hit. So here's my takes. The running backs hit, Rodgers hits. I think David is in a very good spot. Flip side, Coffee. You need Watson to do what he did last week. And I'm not saying like 40-something points, but he needs to beat the projected number. You need Bell to get his projected number. And if Jenkins scores a touchdown, man, that's going to take you over the top because David's tight end already got 0, and you can afford one of his other guys to go off just in case it does happen, if that makes any sense. I am struggling a little bit to call this because the Aaron Rodgers factor is definitely where I'm a little bit on the David side of things, maybe. And it has nothing to do with Gillislee's 5, if that's what you're looking at. I just think that it's Aaron Rodgers against the Dallas Cowboys secondary. A lot of big things could be happening here. Good thing about Watson, though, is he is at home. If this was on the road in Kansas City, I definitely would have a different tone on Deshaun Watson. But I got to pick a victory now. The victory is probably going to go to... Oh, man. This is actually the toughest one to call this week, guys. I'm really sorry about this. If the running backs with Aaron Rodgers hit, I might have to say David on this one. If that does not happen, meaning that if all three of the big three for David don't hit, so the big three, if they don't hit, I got to go to the Robert Coffee side of the ball, assuming that Le'Veon Bell does his thing and Diggs and whatnot. So I'm more confident in David's matchups this week, so I might go with David. Not hating on the Rob matchups at all, especially in the flex spots, but I just think that Rodgers is a very, very good play this week. Okay, moving along. One team last week decided that the team wanted to wake up. You can view it as a fluky kind of week, or maybe they're starting to find their stride. And then a hyped up matchup of the week. This person was on the losing end of that one. Talking about Lewis and Maxwell. Lewis must have done a lot of research with his recent pickup, which is very, very ballsy. And I'll state it again, very ballsy if it does pan out. Jameis Winston drops 20 points against Ben Roethlisberger at home. I'm not a huge Ben Roethlisberger fan anymore, but at home, he always hits his projected numbers. So he's got to beat 20. I'll say he gets like 22. Des Bryant, Tyreek Hill taking on Larry Fitzgerald and Martavis Bryant. Fitzgerald has had 2 great weeks back-to-back against the Philly defense. I think he might calm down in this one, though. He might still be all right, but something tells me that when John Brown is healthy on the field, he might have a decent game. I would love to see some J.J. Nelson for obvious reasons. I don't understand with John Brown in there why Jaron Brown has to be in there, but I'm not Bruce Arians. I don't understand it. Whatever. Martavis Bryant at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, with this good secondary that they have, and he's an outside guy, if Bryant is supposed to have a successful game, it's hard for me to say that Brown won't. So, he's really tough to call at this point because he's been a little bit of a disappointment for you. Des Bryant and Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has been, I guess, okay. I mean, week 1 was a great performance, but he really hasn't done... let me check. Yeah, so he's been up and down the whole season. And then you got Des Bryant, who's surprisingly been decent. This is a matchup he should feast in, though, by the way. I actually like Max's receivers in this one. Wait a minute. Running back time. Well, the guy we all love, the guy we all want to actually get the job, unfortunately, it looks like it's only going to happen with Matt Forte injured. I really hope that if I was you, Max, now this is just me personally, I would try to sell high on him immediately because if the Jets are actually winning games, they're going to go back to their veteran presence. If they start losing, then they can go to Powell. So I am a little bit nervous about that. Something to keep in mind. But he is against the Cleveland Browns. There's probably a good chance of another touchdown happening in this one. Jonathan Stewart, I'm not a fan of. For that being said, he has to beat the 9 points from James White. He has to get a touchdown to do it. I don't see it. Melvin Gordon is in for a big workload after he was taken off of the injury report. I'm still very nervous about this, though. Brandon Oliver is out, which means Austin Eckler is probably going to get the third down job, or if they're trailing, 2-minute warning type of thing. The Chargers got to be careful with Melvin Gordon. Last year, he got hurt because of it. The same thing can be said here. I'd be nervous. This is a very good matchup, though, however. Melvin Gordon might get you 20 carries, and I think the yardage total, might be something around 70 to 80 with a touchdown included. So it's going to be tough for Max to combat against that. Evan Ingram is the tight end taking on Kyle Rudolph. Coin flip, I guess, in here, but I actually do like Ingram. I actually think that, especially in the Buccaneers game, you saw the rapport that was starting to develop between him and Eli Manning. And speaking of more Giants, we got my secret weapon, Sterling Shepard. So you're rolling out 2 Giants. Looks like you're pulling the Paul card in this one. And then there's Cooper Kupp. Anyway, Todd Gurley on the flex. Okay. Well, Gurley's been a stud. This is the long stretch of really tough matchups. The reason why I'm not totally hating on him, I didn't say he was top 5, but I do like him, was because I went through the same situation with Melvin Gordon last year. His yards per carry sucked, but the guy was always producing. So volume rules over everything. That's my opinion on Todd Gurley. So he might get another touchdown in this one for you. But then you're rolling out Ricardo Lewis, man. We all thought it was Rashard Higgins, myself included. But the Browns receivers really suck. Kaiser, because of it, his development is going to drastically take a tumble. Kaiser looked really nice with Corey Coleman. I'm not even going to lie. But once Coleman went down, man, Kenny Britt just doesn't give 2 Fs. And now it's Ricardo Lewis, Rashard Higgins, and there's another guy they have too who I don't care and shouldn't be owned regardless. When I look at this, because of the Todd Gurley factor, I think the flexes definitely win in Lewis's favor. And then the tight ends are kind of close. But I actually might go Evan Ingram in this one. And then you have Seattle at the Rams and Pittsburgh at home against the Jaguars. Believe it or not, this is going to be a very close matchup to call. The Denver Broncos are on a bye, but Lewis has just lost 2 straight. So another loss here would definitely don't throw the red flag. And I wouldn't really necessarily throw caution yet, because you can always use the argument I didn't have my Denver Broncos receivers. But at the same point, what I tried to make earlier was that the Denver Broncos receivers are good to have together if everything else is stacked. I still like Lewis's team a lot, but I'm just there's a missing piece here that can take it to the top. And then when I go to Max's side of the ball, this actually could go on. You know what? I'm not even going to say it. I think Lewis edges him out very, very close in this one. I think it's going to be something like 112 to a 107 victory for Lewis. It's going to be very close. If Max is able to get a W somehow in this one, he's trending up in the right direction, no doubt about it. So this should be a really good matchup, despite what the records show. 1-3 taking on a 2-2 team. Should be a fun one to watch and keep track of over the weekend. All right, let's keep things rolling here. We now have 2 teams going up against each other. Andre and Matt's team. Matt is on a 2-game losing streak. Andre just barely got the victory last Monday night. I'm assuming there's a lot of buys in this one too, as he's rolling out with 2 tight ends. This is going to be an interesting matchup because from the start of the season, I really thought that with Ezekiel Elliott back, I thought Andre would have been at least a playoff team. But now he's behind the 8 ball at 1-3, and Matt is in danger of losing his 3rd straight. Let's break it down right now. Russell Wilson at the Rams. I actually do not like this matchup a lot for him. I'm assuming that's why you picked up Cam Newton, but I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that. You could either buy or sell the Lions' hot start defense. Me personally, I'm not so sold on him. They haven't really played any good quarterbacks, so that's just my take. And Cam's been a little shaky. Maybe the New England game was a confidence booster. Maybe it wasn't just a fluke game because New England's defense sucks. But Russell Wilson has been very, very consistent the last 2 weeks, so it's hard for you to bench a guy like Russ Wilson. Matt, on the other hand, has Carson Palmer going on the road to Philadelphia. I absolutely hate this matchup. I don't care how bad their secondary is. Carson Palmer at 1 o'clock games on the road is just trash. I don't know why. He's just trash. And the projected points, I would say that's pretty accurate. But everybody's streaming this week. There's some bye weeks. There's some injuries at the quarterback position, so it's really hard to find something that you could like. You do have Matt Ryan, but I don't know who the heck is going to be available for that one. So I'm going to have to... I'm not even confident saying Andre's quarterback, but I might as well have to. T.Y. Hilton, Michael Crabtree, Antonio Brown, Rashard Matthews. Now, I don't like T.Y. Hilton with Jacoby Brissett. He's only had one good game. It was against the Cleveland Browns secondary. However, Brissett is at home. He might have enough time to dial up to one bomb at least to T.Y. Hilton. I can actually see that happening. I absolutely don't like Crabtree with E.J. Manuel. I just feel like his value definitely takes a huge tumble. And then you have Antonio Brown and Rashard Matthews. Well, good news for you. Antonio Brown is at home, and the temper tantrum just happened. He is a guy who always pulls the diva card. I know this guy personally, and when he's at home, you should be good. I know the Jacksonville Jaguars have a good secondary, but they're on the road. Pitt is at home, so I think Brown will be all right. Rashard Matthews, well, if Mariota cannot go in this one, it's going to be tough to have any confidence in Rashard Matthews. Believe it or not, though, it's funny because I feel like Crabtree and Matthews would cancel each other out because they have scrubs throwing them the ball, which then comes down to Antonio Brown and T.Y. Hilton. Believe it or not, this might actually be a very close draw because if I'm predicting a bomb for Hilton, Brown would have to get a 2-touchdown game. Obviously, he is capable of doing that, but let's call it a draw here. Ajayi and Mixon. Yeah, so Atlanta has to be on a bye. Yeah, duh. I know. I'm retarded. My bad. Jay Ajayi and Joe Mixon taking on Ezekiel Elliott and DeMarco Murray. Yeah, this is Andre by a landslide. My thing with Mixon was I was watching some highlight tapes. He's not trusting his blockers. He likes to cut it back inside a little bit too much. And if that keeps happening, you're not going to get the Joe Mixon you were hoping for, which is why you're still seeing the 3-back system be incorporated. I think it's only a matter of time, but as of right now, there's a lot of plays where he's losing trust in his blocks. And that's why last week he laid a dud. Jimmy Graham, who sucks against that tight end already went, so you kind of win by default on that one, Andre. Lynch, Witten, Jones, Amendola did pull out a good game. Jones could have some sneaky appeal here, but the flexes, believe it or not, because of the 13-point performance, actually might go to Morris. And then you have the Philly defense taking on the Rams defense, which is a very, very good play this week. But let's stop matters right here. I think that the Elliott and DeMar. Actually, this might be closer than I think. I'm really sorry for ignoring one important factor, Mariota. I don't know how effective Murray will be. Well, let me just break it down like this so I don't have to recap everything. Andre's side of the ball, I actually do like Hilton this week. I do like Elliott this week. But I'm not so confident in everything else. But then when I go to Matt's side of the ball, I'm only really confident in Antonio Brown because of the quarterback situation with Rashard Matthews. Jay Ajayi has not been able to get anything going. However, if Tennessee is not with Marcus Mariota, you can expect a Jay Ajayi big game. This is actually going to be a lot closer than I thought it was going to be after I just watched or went down everything, excuse me. Believe it or not, retracing everything that I just said because I totally didn't factor in the E.J. Manuel start with Marshawn Lynch. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to change my tone despite a tight end dropping 0 points. I actually think that Matt's performance is going to be reliant on Antonio Brown and Jay Ajayi having big games, and I think everything else is going to be, so your box score is going to look like this: 15 from Palmer, uh, I'll say 20 from Antonio Brown. Matthews might get you 6. Jay Ajayi I actually think can get an 18-point performance. Joe Mixon might get you 5 to 7, and then Marvin Jones will probably sneak something in there. So flip side of the ball, Hilton I kind of do like. Elliott I do like, but without Mariota. Now, if Mariota does play, Murray gets upgraded a lot. So I think this game is definitely dependent on Mariota. But then obviously if Matt's listening, he's going to say, well, then what about Rashard Matthews? I understand that part completely, but I think there's more of a big game potential from Murray than Rashard Matthews. Bottom line, what I'm trying to say is this is going to be a low-scoring, close game, and I do think that if Mariota does play, the victory is going to go to Andre. If Mariota does not play, I'll say the victory goes to Matt because Andre doesn't have any other options. At least I don't think so. So we'll leave it at that. So we're going to get into the next matchup of the week, which is in the same division, aka the joke of the divisions. And I'm looking at this lineup right now, and I'm assuming there's a lot of buys in it because I'm looking at what the projection is. There's some injuries. Yeah, this is the blowout of the week. Johnny, congratulations. Alright, so first, apologies for not putting up the matchups of the week. I wanted to do power rankings, and after that hour segment or whatever it was, kind of got tired. Not gonna lie, so I kind of didn't feel like I wanted to put it out, so I kind of just did my takes and whatnot. Anyway, I'm gonna get right into it with the first matchup of the week, which is kind of a quote-unquote boring one, a major disappointment, and you can hear it in the tone of my voice. My team taking on Paul's team. Paul, even though Tom Brady only got you 14 points and my tight end got me 15. Chances are you're still going to walk away. This team has not put up 100 points except for week 1, and it was only 100 or 101. I don't remember. I don't care. This should be an easy victory for you. If you do lose, it's on the fluke of Tom Brady only getting you 14 points. I understand you don't have the good running backs, and I understand that Julio Jones is out, and I understand that Tevin Coleman is out, but I think the only way I come out with the W in this one is if my team is healthy for one, because every time I play, somebody gets hurt. I don't have any running backs, and my receivers are not scaring anybody other than Odell Beckham. So this should be an easy victory for you. And if it's not, then you can chalk this one up as a fluke loss. That's bottom line what I'm trying to tell you right now. There is nothing really to go in depth about this matchup. Brady was a little bit of a disappointment, but you can still walk away with a 98-77 victory. That's the way this is going so far for this season. I really don't have any hope with this team. There's just been a lot of injuries. A lot of the lottery tickets haven't panned out. Fighting through some hard times right now. So congratulations on your dub.